My affair was exposed on Christmas, when my affair partner's wife arrived with her kids, saying they had no Christmas because he spent all their money on me, and after my husband threw me out and let them stay for dinner, I realized I have nowhere to go, and I regret everything. I'm sitting in my car right now, parked beside a grocery store I don't even like, because this is the only place with decent lighting and I didn't want to keep driving in circles. I'll start with this. I'm not pretending I didn't screw up. I cheated. I had an affair. I know what that means. I'm not trying to tell a redemption story here. I'm not trying to convince strangers that I'm some good person who got lost. If anything, writing might help me make sense of how I got here, because right now, it feels like I'm watching someone else's life burn down. My husband and I have been married for 7 years. Solid years, not perfect. We drifted into that roommate stage a while back. He became more absorbed in work. I became more absorbed in everything else. I don't think either of us realized when we stopped meeting in the middle. I got used to the quiet. I got used to him being unavailable. I told myself it was normal. Everyone hits rough patches. But after a while, I started feeling invisible in my own house. Then there was the guy I worked with. I don't want to pretend he seduced me or something stupid like that. I let it happen because I liked how it felt to be seen. That's the truth. He paid attention to me in ways my husband hadn't in a long time, and I let myself believe that meant something deeper. I told myself he understood me, told myself he got me. Looking back, it was pathetic, but at the time, it felt like oxygen when you've been breathing stale air for too long. He had this whole narrative about his marriage falling apart, said his wife didn't care, said he was planning to leave, said he was sorting out finances. It was all vague enough that you could project whatever you wanted onto it. I didn't question a lot of things I should have. I didn't ask to see anything. I didn't want to make it real. I liked the fantasy. This Christmas he convinced me to take a weekend with him. A cabin, some isolated place he said would feel like our own holiday. He showed up with expensive gifts way beyond what I would have expected. Jewelry, a watch, designer shoes. I didn't ask where the money came from. I didn't want to think about it. I just let myself take it. That part is on me. I let myself believe I deserved something special. I came home early this morning trying to act normal. My husband was cold, but not in a suspicious way. More like he was tired of pretending we were fine. He gave me this look that felt like he was halfway checked out. I thought I was in the clear. I thought I could slide through the holidays, deal with guilt later, and figure out my marriage in January like some idiot who schedules her own implosion. Then the doorbell rang. I wish I could describe the feeling when my husband opened that door and I saw my affair partner's wife standing there. 3 kids behind her, all bundled up but still shivering. She looked exhausted, like she hadn't slept in days. She had a plastic bag in her hand with what looked like smashed ornaments or pieces of broken decorations. She just started talking, like she'd rehearsed it so many times she couldn't stop. She said they had no Christmas because her husband spent every spare cent on another woman, said their accounts were empty, said she didn't know where else to go. She apologized to my husband for showing up like this, but said she didn't know what else to do. She looked desperate in a way I've never seen in a real person. I knew right away what was happening. My husband didn't. Not yet, but when his eyes shifted to the watch on my wrist, the one I didn't even take the tag off, everything clicked. I'll never forget the way his face changed. It wasn't anger at first, it was confusion, then disbelief, then something worse, like he was realizing in real time that the woman he married wasn't who he thought she was. And then the wife looked at my wrist too. I think she recognized it, or maybe she just knew. Everything in that room went still. I tried to deny it at first, not because I thought it would work, but because shock does weird things to your mouth. But the more I said nothing, the more obvious it became. My husband kicked me out on the spot, not with screaming or throwing things, just blunt, like he was done wasting air on me. He told her and the kids to come inside, to warm up, to sit down for dinner. He told me to get out. He said I wasn't ruining those children's Christmas on top of everything else. Walking out of that house felt like being peeled out of my own life. I didn't pack. I didn't take anything except the keys that were already in my coat pocket. I sat in the car and watched the windows fog up from the warmth of everyone else inside. I watched my husband move around the kitchen like he was hosting some charity dinner. I watched the kids take off their coats. I watched my life fold itself inward without me. Now I'm here. I have no money on me, no bag, no plan. My parents won't let me in without calling first, and I can't call anyone. I'm not trying to make myself sound like some tragic figure. I did this. I made every step that led here, but the speed of the fallout feels unreal. I thought I had time to fix things or end things or whatever. Instead, everything collapsed at once. Update 1. I didn't sleep the night everything blew up. Not a minute. I kept sitting there in my car in the freezing air trying to process how fast everything fell apart. At some point the sun came up and I realized I couldn't sit there forever. I didn't have my keys to my parents' place, and even if I did, I wasn't walking into their house with what had just happened hanging over me. I knew my mother well enough to know she'd weaponize it before I even put my bag down. So I went to the only place I could think of where someone might let me in without turning it into a scene: my sister. She opened the door before I even knocked properly, and the first thing she did was stare at me like she was trying to count every wrong decision I had ever made in my entire life. She didn't hug me. She didn't ask if I was okay. She just stepped aside and let me walk in, and I guess that was enough. I wasn't expecting comfort anyway. She gave me coffee and then gave me her full opinion without softening a single word. She wasn't dramatic about it, just very matter of fact. She told me I had wrecked my life, wrecked my marriage, wrecked another family, and made myself look stupid over a man she always thought gave her a weird vibe. She said she'd let me stay a few days, but not if I spent the whole time trying to defend what I did. That was the only line she drew. I guess that's fair. My family, well, they reacted exactly how I expected. My mother didn't call. My dad sent a short message to my sister asking if I was with her, then nothing else. It was my aunt who actually said anything real, and she told my sister she felt sorry for me, but also didn't want me staying with her because her husband doesn't need that kind of drama in the house. So apparently I'm a hazard now. Not shocking, just depressing. A few hours later, my sister handed me an envelope. My husband had dropped it off. He didn't even wait to see if I'd come to the door. Inside was a formal separation notice, a letter saying he didn't want me coming back to the house without going through a third party, and instructions on how to collect my things under supervision. It was all written like he was dealing with some stranger who had caused a disturbance in his home. Very cold, very direct, and honestly, it hit harder than when he threw me out. While I was reading that, AP finally contacted me. I had forgotten he still existed in this equation, which is funny considering the whole reason I'm in this situation at all is because of him. He sent this long message that was basically him trying to make himself the victim. He kept trying to make it sound like everything would have been fine if his wife hadn't overreacted, which is insane considering she showed up with 3 kids who hadn't eaten a proper meal in 2 days. He tried to tell me I needed to stay quiet so we didn't fuel the drama. That was the moment something in me snapped. I didn't reply with guilt or softness or excuses. I told him to leave me alone and stop using me as some shield to avoid the consequences he created. He didn't like that. He tried calling from a blocked number later, but I didn't pick up. A few hours after that, something happened that I wasn't expecting. AP's wife reached out to me. I thought she'd call me every name under the sun or just unload all her anger onto me. She didn't. She was almost unnervingly calm. Not kind, not forgiving, just controlled. She told me she didn't see me as the root of the issue because AP had a history I didn't know about. At the same time, she didn't sugarcoat anything about how I behaved either. She said I acted like someone who never thought past the next dopamine hit. She said I needed to grow up fast because I clearly had no idea how consequences worked. It hit me harder than all the yelling and crying the night before, probably because she was right about parts of it. I wouldn't admit that to her face, but I felt it. Then things somehow got worse. I got an email from HR telling me we needed to have a formal meeting after the holidays because some of AP's spending might involve company money. I didn't use the card. I didn't know he used it. But the fact that I was involved with him at all makes me look complicit. The email wasn't dramatic, just very clinical. The kind of message you know comes from someone who already thinks you're lying. The thought of losing not just my marriage and stability, but also my job made my stomach flip. My sister saw the look on my face and asked what happened. I told her. She didn't give comfort, just said I should have seen that coming. I didn't argue. Update 2. I opened a message from AP's wife after staring at it for almost an hour. I don't know what I expected. Maybe something spiteful or dramatic or another jab about how I ruined her kid's Christmas. But it wasn't anything like that. It was basically her telling me what AP had been feeding her about me long before the whole thing blew up on Christmas. And honestly, reading it made my stomach twist in a different way than the guilt has. A lot of things these past few days have made me feel ashamed, but this was the first time I felt genuinely insulted. According to her, he told her I was emotionally unstable and obsessed with him, like I was some unhinged woman trying to force him into leaving his family. Then she said he also told her I threatened to expose him if he didn't take care of me financially. He painted me like some broke woman clinging on him for money. The part that bothered me most was that he said I was desperate. I don't know why that word hit so hard. I'm many things, but desperate wasn't one of them. I didn't need him to pay my bills. I wasn't stalking him. I didn't even ask him for anything except his time, which I admit was already wrong, but nowhere near the picture he created to cover his own tracks. I sat there rereading the message until my sister walked in, asking if I moved something in her closet. She had gone looking for spare towels and found the bag of gifts AP bought me tucked behind a box of winter boots. I didn't think she'd climb around her own closet in the next few days, so I figured I'd move them later or toss them quietly. But she found them before I could even figure out what I was doing with them. She didn't yell, she just gave me this look like she didn't recognize me. Then she asked me if I was seriously letting a man buy me luxury things while his own kids went without heat and food. I didn't even know what to say. I didn't know what to say because I didn't know, and hearing it in her voice made it feel 10 times worse. She spent the rest of the afternoon talking at me more than to me, saying she didn't understand how I let myself get this tangled up. Every time I tried to explain something, she cut me off. She said she was trying to keep me grounded, but it felt like she was chiseling away at every last piece of self-worth I had left. Our fragile piece from the last few days cracked. It didn't break completely, but it's hanging by a thread. Then out of nowhere, my mother-in-law called. I didn't expect her voice to shake me the way it did. She didn't say she missed me, or that she was sorry for everything. She didn't even ask where I was staying. She just said the whole family gathered at my husband's house to support the children who were affected. That was the phrase she used. Support the children. I guess that means AP's kids now. She said they brought food, blankets, toys, all kinds of things. She said they wanted to keep them from feeling abandoned on top of everything else. Then she added, almost casually, that they were doing this partly to make sure I didn't try to manipulate my way back in. I just sat there holding the phone staring at the wall because I couldn't wrap my head around it. These are people I spent holidays with, people who hugged me, laughed with me, called me family. Now they think I'm some kind of threat. I guess they're not wrong to be angry, but hearing that they held some sort of intervention, without me even being a thought in the equation, stung in a different way. After that call, I checked my bank accounts just to feel like I still had some control over something. Turns out I didn't. My husband froze our joint accounts. I wasn't shocked. He had every reason to, but the part that made my chest feel tight was realizing how little I have on my own. I moved most of my savings into the renovation fund 2 months ago because I thought it was our future home. It was in his name only because the house originally belonged to his parents. I never imagined we'd separate before the project was finished. Now it feels like I poured money into a hole I'll never get back. I tried calling my bank to check if there was anything I could do, but the reality is I made that choice willingly. I trusted my marriage blindly. Now I'm stuck with a checking account that can barely cover groceries for the next 2 weeks and whatever credit I have, which isn't much because I've always been careful about debt. Work emailed me the official meeting time. HR wants me to come in the day after the holiday break to talk about professional boundaries and the financial discrepancies linked to AP's company expenses. They made sure to note they're not accusing me of anything, but they want my full cooperation. The word full made my stomach twist. I didn't touch a company card, but I pushed for him to get that holiday bonus. I thought I was doing something supportive for someone I cared about. Now I'm wondering if I accidentally helped him dig his own grave and maybe mine too. The worst part of the day happened when AP showed up at my sister's house. He didn't even call first, just stood in the driveway like some frantic disaster waiting to spill over. He looked nothing like the man who used to take me to quiet dinners and talk like he wanted to build a life with me. He looked panicked. He was talking too fast and moving his hands too much and asking me to fix things. I didn't let him inside. I didn't go near him. I walked outside and told him exactly what I thought of him, loudly enough that the neighbors peeked through their blinds. I didn't care. I was done being quiet and confused. My sister came out halfway through holding her phone like she was ready to call the police. AP kept going on about how I ruined everything for him when he was trying to figure things out. I told him he needed to leave before someone called the cops. He stood there for another moment like he wanted to argue, but he must have realized he looked pathetic because he got in his car and sped off. Update 3. AP's wife finally told me what she'd been trying to get me to see. I don't know why I braced myself like it was going to be something light. I don't know why I thought anything about AP had the potential to be simple. She showed me screenshots, bank statements, messages between him and another woman from last year. He'd had a whole affair before me, same pattern too, same expensive gifts, same fake promises, same story about how his marriage was basically dead and he was just trying to find himself. I thought I was different because he went out of his way to make me feel different. Turns out, I was just the latest distraction. That's the part that hit in a slow, sickening way. Not the cheating on his wife part, I already knew he was capable of that. But the fact that I wasn't special at all. I was just someone he could talk into believing whatever made his life feel easier for a few hours. I didn't expect to feel that level of stupidity. Not even anger at first. Just embarrassment so deep it made my stomach twist. It's one thing to destroy your marriage over someone. It's another to realize the person you blew up your life for treated you like you were just convenient. Then came the money part. She showed me transfers he'd made out of some joint savings account that was supposed to be for his kids, and then she showed me transfers that linked back to a project he and I both worked on last fall when our department got a big seasonal bonus. I pushed for him to get one of the bigger shares because he'd told me he wanted to move out and needed the extra cash. Seeing that same money in the list of transactions for the gifts he gave me made my heart drop. I didn't know he used it for that, but it doesn't matter. My name is tied to that project. HR is already breathing down my neck, and this made it worse. Way worse. Her showing me that wasn't done out of pettiness. It felt more like she was trying to prepare me for the fact that things weren't done falling apart. The meeting with HR was exactly as humiliating as I expected. I don't even know why I bothered getting dressed up for it because nothing I did changed the way they looked at me. I didn't even argue or try to explain. I just told them what I knew and what I didn't. They weren't cruel, just cold. Everyone is cold now. I'm suspended until they finish looking through everything. It sounds better than getting fired, but honestly, it feels worse in some ways. Like everything is frozen, and I'm stuck waiting for something to collapse fully so I can say, okay, that's done, instead of getting hit with pieces of it one at a time. And in the middle of all that, my husband reached out. Not because he wanted to talk things out, or because he suddenly felt anything for me. It was just logistics. Practical details about the house, the remaining bills, where my things were boxed up. He also told me he was letting AP's wife and the kids stay with him until she found somewhere stable. He said he wasn't doing it to punish me, and I believe him, which somehow makes it sting more. He's doing it because they need it, because it's the right thing to do, and because he's always been steady in a way I never appreciated. Hearing that he can still be that person, just not for me anymore, was like a punch I didn't see coming. My sister and I had another blow up too. I honestly don't know how we lasted as long as we did in the same house. She didn't throw me out, but she might as well have with the way she kept going in on everything I did wrong. Eventually I snapped. It turned into this ugly shouting match, and I grabbed my stuff and walked out before either of us said anything we couldn't take back. I ended up sleeping in my car for a night. I won't lie, I cried in that stupid car until my throat hurt. I don't even remember falling asleep. I woke up shivering with my neck locked up and my head pounding. That was rock bottom, or at least it felt like it. Final update. I met my husband one last time. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't emotional. It was two people sitting across a table sorting through the scraps of a life that used to feel solid. He wasn't angry, which somehow hurt worse. He said the marriage was already cracked long before the affair came out, and I can't even argue with him. There were months where we barely spoke unless it was about bills or errands. I convinced myself I was starved for affection, and instead of doing anything healthy about that, I went looking for shortcuts. So we divided what needed dividing, and that was that. No begging, no scenes, just the end. AP's wife moved out of my old house the week after. She found temporary housing through a local support program. I didn't ask for details. It felt wrong sticking my nose into her life any more than I already had. She messaged me to meet her, and it wasn't warm or emotional. It was just two people who had been dragged through the same storm. She told me she filed for divorce. I didn't say much besides acknowledging it. There isn't some deep friendship forming there. We're just not actively tearing each other apart anymore. I'm in a rented room now. It's small, just a bed and a desk, but it's quiet, and no one looks at me like they're trying to figure out how I ended up like this. I finally got the answer from HR. I wasn't involved in the financial part of AP's mess, but I wasn't exactly cleared as if nothing happened either. They moved me to a different department. Less responsibility, less pay. It stung, but I'll take humiliation over unemployment. I'm trying to rebuild with what I have left. AP didn't take any of his consequences well. He lost his job. The company didn't want anything to do with him. His wife filing for divorce shook whatever fantasy he thought he was living in. He tried reaching out to me twice. I blocked him instantly. I'm done being anyone's escape or excuse or backup plan. I don't care what happens to him now. I'm not pretending I've had some huge moment of personal growth. I'm still embarrassed. I'm still angry at myself. I still don't know how to explain this whole thing to anyone without wanting to disappear, but I'm getting up every day. I'm paying my rent. I'm working my job. I'm trying to build something that isn't held together by lies.